this husband posted in the Lose It subreddit. And keep in mind, as I'm reading this, men are unreliable narrators a lot of the times. He says, I love my wife dearly, but I'm extremely worried about her weight and health. I've been with my wife since I was 16 years old, and I love her absolutely for who she is and not what she looks like. And listen, no one looks like how they did when they were 16. I'm 32, and I have gained at least 30 pounds. However, my wife's family has a history of food addiction. Right here, it sounds like he's given foundational information, but he's really muddying the water. He says her two adult siblings that live at home and her parents are all well over 300 pounds and have multiple health issues regarding their weight. Her dad just last year had to get his D replaced because it literally caved in on his weight. All four of them also have adult onset diabetes due to their eating. She grew up with eating habits where her parents would go out for breakfast, order in lunch, and then go out for dinner all in one day. And over living together the past 7 years, I've done everything I can to try to curtail those habits so that she, honestly, doesn't end up like that. I've always been silently concerned about my wife's health by trying to encourage her to go on walks with me or to join a gym with me or just get some exercise and do something together. Nothing ever worked. She would either give up 5 minutes in or refuse. Over the past few weeks, I've noticed a big change in our eating habits. Her bowl of cereal and pasta are literally overflowing the bowl, and she seems like no matter where she is, she has a snack. Now, on a personal note, I have struggled with weight in my past. A few years ago, when I got really depressed, I weighed upward of 270 pounds. But after getting some mental help and committing to an exercise routine, I'm down to about 189. I've tried to encourage her to take better care of herself or to get smaller portions, but it's a no. I love her dearly, and I'm just concerned for her health. I allegedly tried talking to her about this, saying that I'm concerned for her health, and then maybe she might want to take better care of herself. I even tried making it about me to take the pressure off her. I even tried making it, and then he repeats that. I even tried making it about me to take pressure off her by saying that I'm feeling self-conscious about my weight and I want to change our eating habits. She took it as a personal attack, and honestly, I get where she's coming from, but it's still a big concern. We have a kid. He's finally saying that way down. And I want her to be able to do all the things that an active child does with their parents. And I'm worried that if she didn't get a handle on things, she won't be able to. And then he says, any advice? Okay, that is what he says. He left out a lot. I am not going to editorialize right now because y'all need to see all of the things that start to come out in the comments. Similar Plate says, anyone thinking of replying to this guy, I suggest you read his post/comment history first. He deliberately missed out information relating to his wife being postpartum, her current weight, his eating disorders, and body dysmorphia. He clearly has a lot of issues that he needs to seek help for. I'm genuinely feeling for his poor wife right now. And to that, this man says, you have nothing better to do than look through my post history? You have nothing better to do with your time, really? Go touch grass, date a woman. I feel generally sorry for you. Now, this man came here asking for advice, and he buried the lead that he has a postpartum wife. So he has a new child. When I saw that comment, I started looking through his post history. He has a 5-month-old baby, 5 months. And he's sitting up here talking about his wife's weight and tacking in the fact that her family is overweight and all of this. But why didn't he mention that they have a brand new child? He didn't let us know if she was breastfeeding or anything. He just says she's just eating snacks and she's just overweight and I am concerned. Like he said, she won't work out with me. She has a brand new baby. But I'm going to continue with some of these comments. Similar Plate says, wow, you're really a lovely chap, aren't you? And starting to show your true colors, I think. I have plenty better to be doing, to be honest, but I don't appreciate myself or the group being misled. I'm glad I read them, as others on here also have. I did so due to concerns others have raised about your behavior. You post on here leaving out vital information that could help people know how to address your post. You left out that your wife was postpartum, that she has PND and on medication for it, and that you have a past history of weight and body image issues. This makes your post read in a very different light and would strongly suggest you need to seek help with those issues, and that your wife's weight, which again you didn't post, may not be the issue here, but how you perceive weight in yourself, which is then reflected maybe unfairly on others. You cannot post asking for help and then have the gall to get arsy or assy with me because I happen to point out to others that you've withheld crucial information. Instead of being contrite when replying to others, you've shown some of that anger and hostility you were accused of at the hospital. You deliberately left out information about your wife that has led us to feel quite unsympathetic towards you. As someone who claims to have had depression, you should have an understanding of how it feels for your wife battling PND. So please don't get angry if I then choose to question why you tell a postpartum wife with PND in a vulnerable state that she needs to sort her weight out. There's a time and place for that. So don't be surprised when some of us choose to have sympathy, not with you, but with your wife, who sounds like she's having a really tough time right now. Her weight should be the least of your priorities right now. And your anger towards me only further proves that maybe you're seeking help for the wrong person and maybe need to look a bit closer to home. There's no shame in accepting that you may need help. If my partner treated me like that after just having a baby, I'd kick his butt to the curb. Right now, I'm off to go touch me some grass now. And then the OP simply says, cool. I read that long post because it gives you an overview of what this dude has been posting about. He left out so much information. Breakfast Amazing says, sir, if your wife is 4 months postpartum, this is not the time to be harassing her about her weight. You'll only stress her out more. If you're truly worried, you should try and give her more time to rest and heal. You think she's not eating healthy? Start cooking some healthy meals for her. You want her to exercise? Take the baby and encourage her to go for walks by herself or get a gym membership and slowly start working out. She is likely stressed right now with a new baby that may be contributing to her eating habits, or if she's breastfeeding, she's likely ravenous. Don't be that husband. Be there for your wife. And then Restless Strangling says, absolutely this. While I was breastfeeding, I could never feel full. Plus, with my first child, I had postpartum depression. It didn't present like some people think it always does. I wasn't saying stuff like wanting to harm me or my kid, or that I regretted being a mom. It was more like I was overwhelmed beyond belief, and everyone acted like that was normal new mom stuff, until I went in for my 6-month post-delivery checkup, and the doc said it was too much overwhelmed to be normal and suggested PPD. Huge difference. Eating habits returned to healthy over time, of course, and my stress leveled out. Oh, and for your information, OP, it took a year for me to lose pregnancy weight. Some women bounce back, others take a while. That's why I said a lot of this information he should have put in there, but he talked more about her family and all of that stuff. He is a liar by omission. I cannot stand these dudes. And like this person says, I am enraged for the wife. Postpartum is absolutely not even the time to hint at changes like this. This whole post reads as, I lost a lot of weight, so I'm going to be critical of the habits of the woman I married and blame it on concern for her health. Except she's always had those habits. He married her with them. And the thing is, when he started talking about his information and his history, is such a dang on mess, because men's hormones are not the same. Women who have given birth go through so many changes in such a short period of time. Let the birth rate plummet to hell. I am enraged for this wife as well. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, and share. So this woman says, I think my husband is taking advantage of me and I'm becoming resentful. All right, so let's check this out. She posted in the relationship advice subreddit. She's 28, he's 29. She says, my husband and I have been married for 4 years. No real problems. He treats me well, and our relationship has always been relatively easy. 6 years ago, after we were dating for 2 years, I founded a startup and now make about $800,000 per year. $800,000 per year. Okay, cool. My husband always had a mid-level management job at a grocery store and made $60,000 per year for the whole time we've been together. I never cared. We've always split bills, but as my income went up, I took on more. But as time would go on, he would forget to make his portion of his payment on the mortgage portal. And I'll be honest, selfishly, I love being able to live a good life, and I want a husband who's able to do these things with me. My husband stated he wanted to start a business months ago and said that would help him to earn an income and travel. Dream come true. My husband quit his job 4 months ago, which I supported, so he could start a business. I was all about it, but now I'm feeling resentful. He's home all day, but still forgets to do basic tasks, clean out the litter box, laundry, get the mail, and I find that I take the weight of the labor. In my opinion, the house should never be a mess, and I shouldn't have to carry this emotional burden if he isn't providing financially. He says he's going to do better with remembering basic things, but he never does. We've had this conversation before where I felt angry over feeling like I take care of the entire financial load and the mental load of household labor. He is starting his business and has gotten a few clients, but I also sense no real sense of urgency, and it is so unattractive. I don't like feeling like I'm providing for him. Would love advice specifically from a man's point of view. Would love advice specifically from a man's point of view. What do you think? Do I just give him more time for his business? Is he taking advantage of me? She says she's feeling like she's being taken advantage of because she is providing financially and she's still doing the emotional task or the foundational task for the household. And the thing is, she makes enough money to where they should be able to outsource some of the household duties. And in the comments, she says that they don't have any kids yet. The thing becomes, if this is a true partnership and if he is really wanting to do things within the home and make the relationship work and make the household work overall, he would need to be putting in more effort in the home if he has, an easier job or whatnot. But also, he could be managing some of the life stuff within the home because starting up a business is challenging. But by the same token, she probably has a challenging job as well if she's pulling in almost $1 million a year. That would create, and like I said, they don't have kids yet. So that would mean that they would have more discretionary income than most people. There's no reason why she should have to do the emotional labor and the physical labor within the home as well as do her outside job. They need to create something if they do plan on sticking and staying together. But this comes back to the fact that many dudes, no matter what, if they're the breadwinner or not the breadwinner, do not believe that they have to participate in the home. That doing things like cooking and cleaning and, the appointment setting, that's the woman's job, no matter if she's the breadwinner or not. I do believe that they think that all of that stuff is below them, regardless of if they are making money or not, if they have to work outside the home or not. Even these dudes that like to bill themselves as stay-at-home dads still don't like to do the mundane stuff like cooking and cleaning and laundry and all of that. So they're going to have to come together, because if she's saying that she is resentful now, it's only going to get worse because that resentment is going to continue to build. And this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad because she's always made more money than him. She is going to end up paying him. She's going to end up paying him. She's going to pay for his maintenance and alimony because she makes so much more than he does. This person, Hello Sunshine, says, if my husband brought home $800,000 a year, he would forget what dust was. But that's the thing. I do not believe you could ever flip the genders in these types of things, because if a husband was bringing home that much money and a wife had discretionary income or income to run the household, she would manage it much better than this. So that is the difference between a woman that is a stay-at-home wife and a homemaker and all of that, and a man that is the primary breadwinner and maybe giving money or whatnot for the maintenance of the home. I think that women do run a household much different than men do. Game Boy Path says, laughing my butt off. I love how that's phrased. Still, I think it's clear that OP's husband does have a personal interest in entrepreneurship that she wants to support, but she's also in her right to make it clear that this doesn't give him an excuse to skirt his responsibilities without talking to her about it. And then this person says, is he shirking his responsibilities, A? And he says, excuse me, shirk, thanks. I think shirk or skirt could both go there. Crinkled Nose Smile says, I'm a woman married to a high-earning man. In real life and on Reddit, when the tables are turned, the man earns considerably more than the woman, the response is vastly different. It's vastly different because the roles are vastly different. When the man is the one staying at home, he is not doing all of the things that the stay-at-home wife or homemaker is doing. So like she says right here, this is the difference right here. And she types it out. She says, the woman typically stays home or pursues a job or business that is of interest to her or passion. This part right here. She cares for the kids, if that applies, and maybe does some volunteer work. She takes on the mental load. That's the difference. Mental load of the household and manages the family scheduling and logistics. The wife in this particular, the OP is saying that she's still taking on the mental load. That's the reason why I say you can't just simply flip genders, because the roles never just flip just as seamlessly. I'm sure that if he was taking on some of the mental load of the household, she wouldn't be feeling like this. She says, there's always house help at this income level, often a housekeeper or a house manager, but who would be hiring that person? Who would be managing the housekeeper? Who would be paying the house manager? Typically the person that is staying home. So that's the reason why it's like you can't just flip these things so neatly. Crazy to me that people are defending your stance here. If a stay-at-home wife was expected to keep the house in tip-top shape while working full-time or starting her own business, we would be demanding house help for her because her partner can't afford it. Why is this any different? I say absolutely. You know, if I were making, or if my household were making $800,000, we would have a housekeeper. We would have a house manager. I would be delegating out all of these things and outsourcing. But who is making those decisions? Someone still has to make those phone calls, set up those appointments and all of that. That's still part of managing the mental load. Curly Cattail says it's different because A, they don't have any kids. I don't think anyone would be criticizing him if he were a stay-at-home dad. For the record, I don't think that is great for a woman to just be a stay-at-home wife without kids either. She should do some kind of paid or volunteer work. B, it doesn't sound like he's doing much work on his business, nor is he doing much of any housework. So the majority of his time is leisure time, probably spent playing video games, watching TV or videos, or scrolling social media. OP, please correct me if I'm wrong. And the OP says, yes, no children. If he were watching our future children, I'd be paying him a salary. There is work on his business, but there could be more. Here's Crinkled Nose Smile again, a woman that said that she has a high-earning husband. She says, we haven't heard his side of the story. I'm not sure OP is a reliable narrator. She asked her partner of 8 years to contribute to household bills when he made less than a tenth of what she did. She should have recommended he take all of that money and invest it so that he would have financial security in the event they split up. We would never cut a man this much slack if he treated his wife this way. I do want y'all to hone in on that and let me know what you think. Now, this person at the bottom says, that's what I'm wondering, like, damn, bringing in that much money and still fighting over chores is so, yes, I completely agree with that. If I made that much money, we would not be fighting over chores. Regardless of who is making that much money, we're outsourcing because, God, if we could get rid of the laundry task, that would just be amazing and just fix life. But y'all go ahead and weigh in. What do you think about this situation? Don't forget to like, comment, and share, y'all. This man posted in the dating advice subreddit saying, I made a terrible joke to the girl I'm dating, and now she's distant and I don't know what to do. He says, we were sitting in the car yesterday discussing our relationship, and she said to me something in the likes of, I don't want to be a burden to you financially. And stupid me jokingly said, you already are, in a sarcastic manner. She went cold right after that. And I kept explaining that it was a bad joke from my side and I regret it. I said that I never once thought about money when I'm with her, as I'm happy to provide, especially since I see my future with her. I genuinely do it from the bottom of my heart. I wrote her a paragraph explaining all of this yesterday, but she left me on read. Is there something that I can do to save the relationship? So I was tagged in this post, and that's where I stopped. That's where the post stopped. But now he's given us an update. He says, she replied to my text saying that she doesn't want to talk and wants space. I also suggested to meet today, but she says that she wants to be alone in her room. And for more context, she's still a student and struggling financially. Knowing that, I made a dumb comment, which was more of a low IQ moment than a joke with a hidden meaning behind it. I have some work and some self-criticism to do. It's sad that it would be at the expense of something that filled my life with joy ever since the start. Thanks, everyone. Even if this woman were to forgive him, even if they did continue this relationship and have a future together, she would know in the back of her mind that she needs to be financially stable, that he could leave her at any minute, that he would begrudge her having to financially support the family. She would always be thinking about this one particular moment. People have got to be aware how their words can cut. People say stuff like, it's just words, get over it, blah, blah, blah. But those are the types of things that there has been some kind of comment that has gotten into your brain, and you've been able to replay that moment over and over and over. I was a teenager when I first got called the B word. It was by someone that was close to me. That stung. And even though I've forgiven that person, I can still recall that some 30 years later. You never know how your words can cut. So you really need to think on how you talk to people and the things that you say in times where you might think that you are joking. So this woman could possibly forgive this man, but it could stick in the back of her brain that she can't let off the gas for anything. She can't trust him. She knows that she probably will be vulnerable if she ever did allow him to lead or financially support her and the family. She knows this and she's thinking on it. I think that he has blown up his relationship with a stupid joke. Jokes to me are not funny. These jokes, these pranks, everybody just needs to have some humor in their lives. This stuff isn't funny to me. Coco Shortcake is the one that tagged me in saying jokes in a fiscal dynamic. And I was like, whew, these men and their jokes. Junior Block says, sometimes we learn from things we didn't want a life lesson from. And here's the OP saying, what a way to put it, man. She's been the highlight of my life, and it's been wonderful having her in it. She's everything I want in a partner. It's a shame, really, that this lesson would be learned at the expense of not having her in my life anymore. This person, Strayemi, says, I truly hope it works out for the both of you. Give her some time. As so many others have already pointed out, she may have more than what's going on at the surface when it comes to topics such as money and being a burden. So your comment, despite it being said with no ill will, still landed as insensitive and inappropriate for the context. If you've been nothing but supportive and have treated her fairly and right, then I don't see a reason why she won't come around. Speaking as a woman, sometimes we just need time to process and get over our initial emotional turbulence. But if your pros outweigh your changeable cons, we'll come around. Take this as a vital learning moment. Indiana Jenkins says, I get that, but give her space. Let it be. If she comes around, speak to her, reiterate your apology, no paragraphs, and show her how you've learned and changed. Who knows? You had a connection. Even if she breaks it off now, she may come back around in the future. Life is odd in that regard, but we tend to remember those we connect with, and life has a tendency to bring people back together at random times. Life is Satire says, yeah, being funny at a loved one's expense is the opposite of loving. Your girlfriend felt vulnerable and you chose to make a cold joke out of it. For what purpose? Did you think she would laugh it off? You could have used this moment to come closer together and reassure her. Different ad says, sometimes you just say something random because you don't know what to say, and there's pressure on you to fill the void of silence. And sometimes you say the absolute worst thing because it's something that is stressing you or on your mind. Don't tell me you never said the wrong thing before. And then Sunshine Shady says, sometimes we say stupid crap that makes another person feel bad. This is called being an a-hole. It's not a joke and no one is laughing. Learn from this and do better if one day you're in another relationship. She may be done. I would if someone made a joke at my expense like that. And then Lucky Saturn says, and yet you chose to make a joke at her expense in the moment of vulnerability. Yikes. Give her space. Don't keep pestering her. And maybe don't make stupid jokes when someone is seeking reassurance or opening up to you. And then this person at the bottom definitely sounds like a man said, look, I found another person kicking someone when they're down and already learned their lesson. And that could possibly be true. But I really do believe that men need to hear this and understand that these dumb jokes are hurtful, and that you really should, that these people should really learn how to temper themselves and stop being hurtful and using jokes as a crutch or using jokes as an excuse to say things that are mean-spirited. That's just me saying that. Y'all go ahead and chime in. I don't think I need to belabor the point of what's going on in the comments. And the woman has already come back and said she just needs some space. She just wants to be alone in her room. So let me know what you think, though. Overall, join the conversation. I'm headed toward 100,000, maybe even a million over on my YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed.
When Roe v. Wade got overturned, I had a whole bunch of people in my personal life posting about how happy they were about it. If you don't know, I live in Canada, and I messaged some of them, and I said, I have questions about this. I was inquisitive about all of the people in my life who thought this was a good thing. Now, my cousin had married someone, and she was raised, I believe, Mormon. My cousin actually went to school to become a priest, and they got kicked out because they got caught dating, both of them. But I digress. I asked her, why are you happy about this? And she starts telling me all of the reasons. Now, what stuck out in this conversation, because I grew up in Catholic culture, obviously, like my whole family is very religious. I'm always interested to hear people's perspectives because I have heard all of the same rhetoric the entire time I was growing up. But what stood out to me in this conversation was she said, Sierra, I'm not like you. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, I'm just not that woman who's going to be happy having a career. Like, you seem really independent. You seem really happy with having a job. You know, you're a boss babe, a boss bitch, or whatever she called me. And I just remember sitting there going, I just got divorced, and that also heavily plays into it. Because when you get divorced, so many people will come forward and kind of insinuate that somehow they were better than you because they aren't divorced. They picked a better man. Rules don't apply to them somehow. And I was like, well, I have to be. I'm divorced. Like, yes, he wanted me to quit my job when we were together, but I never did. And thank God I never did, because when we finally split up, I actually had some financial means to do so. He was still financially controlling when we were together. But she turns around and she goes, I'm just not like you. I'm just not like you. So I blocked her on Instagram because she kept going. And I was like, at this point, we just don't align. I don't want to be your friend. I don't even want to be, your family. Tell me why a couple of years later, I go onto Facebook and I see her posting about her new job, and she's so happy and she's in a career. And I call my mom because I don't really keep in touch with that side of the family, which is my dad's side of the family. But my mom sometimes hears from people in the family. So it turns out that she ended up leaving my cousin because he was abusive. I'm not surprised in the slightest. And she now is a career woman, a boss bitch. And I find that the majority of the time, this is what happens with people who are raised Catholic or raised Mormon or raised in these church cultures. They don't care until it applies to them. Even when I was in high school, I understand why somebody would want to be able to get a smorgasbord. I completely understood it. I remember being in a line in grade 11 and the girls were all whispering and they're like, oh, what would you do if you got pregnant? What would you do if you got pregnant? And it was like this little tee-hee, and I looked at them deadpan and I was like, I know exactly what I would do, and their jaws dropped. Because in my mind, I knew a lot of women, a lot of girls who had been teen moms and how hard that struggle was for them. Now, I'm also Indigenous on my mom's side, right? So I always held even animals in high regard. Even at that point, I was vegetarian. I remember sitting there and always being really confused as to why people viewed human life, specifically embryo's life, so highly when they don't view animals the same way. Because I was always taught to respect animals. Like I used to try and save animals, rescue animals. Like my big thing, like in around that time too, like my stepdad for Christmas bought me or donated to save the polar bears. It was just known that I was an animal lover. I was obsessed with animals and taking care of things from a very young age. So it never quite made sense to me why people are so against mismortion, but then when they watch people take care of livestock, like, there's no regard for the same life. You know, like, and I honestly, sometimes I think about her because right now I'm sitting in my apartment that I pay for by myself, that I love, working a job that I love, thinking about all of the women in the United States right now that are potentially going to lose their ability to vote. Specifically married women who have changed their names. So many of those women are Catholic, religious women who are going to be the first group of women to lose their right to vote if things go as planned. And that's where I sit back and I go, being a pick-me, being the woman who's going to stand by and allow men to take your rights away isn't going to save you, because you'll be the first one to lose your rights.
Aw, you're waiting for me to turn 38 plus to see if I found the man of my dreams? Spoiler alert, I just turned 50 this year. And the reason that you can't tell that I'm 50 is because I don't have a man to pick up after, to stress me out, or to piss me off. Staying single has been my Botox. And not to rain on your parade as a man, but the holy grail of existence for women is no longer the pursuit of the man of her dreams. Also, thanks again for the compliment.